Some financial markets have already closed for holiday. Analysts and investors are wondering whether the S&P 500, the barometer of the US stock market health, will close the year at record highs. The other stock indexes have already proven their achievements. The Dow Jones notched its historic high on Thursday. Besides, the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq approached their one-year highs. The S&P 500 closed yesterday missing just 0.3% from its record closing level printed in January 2022. The index added 1.77% to close at 4,683 points. Before the opening bell, the major stock indexes traded mixed. The S&P 500 was the only one to remain in the green zone. The S&P is expected to trade in the intraday corridor between 4,761 and 4,798 points. Going beyond these borders, the index will either fall to 4,743 or climb to 4,812 points. The stock market traded with a low trading volume and low volatility on Thursday. The economic data released yesterday, including weekly unemployment claims, pending home sales, and preliminary inventories, pointed to the picture of some softness in the US economy. The market gave a muted response among the 11 major sectors of the S&P 500 index. Utilities posted the largest percentage gain. Energy stocks fell the most as the oil prices went down. In the corporate sector, shares of US-listed Chinese companies including Alibaba, PDD and JD.com rose by 0.6% to 2.7% as China's blue chips posted their biggest jump in 5 months. Boeing shares dropped by 0.7% after the plane maker urged airlines to inspect new 737 MAX plans for possible loose bolt in the steering control system. Futures on the US stock indexes rose in the thin market on the final day of a turbulent 2023 year. The S&P 500 and the Dow Jones indexes are hovering near record highs amid rising expectations that the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates. The Nasdaq is on a track for its strongest annual surge since 2003, rebounding sharply from last year's slump. Whatever highs the S&P reaches, it's already on the way to one of the best rallies of the year. Much of that rally occurred before the Fed's change in rhetoric in mid-December. It's a good reminder of how far the indexes have come from the lows of last year's bear market. The 3 major indexes have already posted their 9th consecutive weekly, monthly and quarterly gains, reaching new highs 2 years after the bottom could be a subtle sign that economic growth is realistic in 2024. Information technology is driving growth in 2023, rising by 56.8% thanks to an abundance of artificial intelligence and growth in the mega-cap stocks. In contrast, the defense sector suffered the most with a 10.1% decline. Nvidia and Meta platforms led the annual growth of the S&P 500 index, promising a threefold increase. After the opening bell today, business activity data from the Philadelphia Fed will be released. In the corporate news, shares of Uber Technologies and Lyft fell by 1.3% and 4.8% respectively in the pre-market, following reports that Nomura had downgraded their ride-sharing platform. As for the currency market, the dollar index was still able to regain some ground against a few rival currencies. During the day, the market was quiet, with the exception of the pairs with the commodity currencies. The dollar index was at 101.40, or 0.16% higher, before the opening bell. And the US dollar index is likely to trade in the intraday corridor between 101.10 and 101.50. In the case of going beyond the borders, the seller's target will be 100.60. Buyer's target is seen at 101.70. By the end of the year, the dollar index was still able to retreat from the 5-month low reached this week. In sync with the bonds, the yield on the benchmark 10-year Treasury note was 3.895%, up from a 5.021% back in October. The growth of safe assets complicates the end of the year for the risk seekers, but does not change the global picture much. The index is still on a track to fall by 2% after 2 years of strong gains. As for the Canadian dollar, it weakened intraday under pressure from the US dollar. The USDC pair rose by 0.2% to 1.3256 in the New York pre-market. The intraday corridor is outlined between 1.3230 and 1.3282. A modest attempt by oil prices to recover after several days of decline before the bell did not provide significant support to the Canadian dollar, and the loonie retreated under pressure from the US dollar. The crypto market lags boost and luster today. Bitcoin is trading 0.7% higher today at 42,770, drifting smoothly in a search of stability after yesterday's decline. On Thursday, the token exceeded the trading range of recent days and dropped to 42,200, despite the fact that the worst-case scenario of a fall to 41,700 was not played out. Bitcoin looks quite shabby intraday, and the baseline intraday corridor will be within the range of $42,200 to $43,100. The next target for sellers is $41,700. For buyers, $43,800 and $44,300. Our final video review of the year is over. Make profits with the InstaForex. See you online in the next 2024 year.